Kia ora koutou. Ino tātou. E hone le kurori ki tātua, e mangano ki te whenua he whakaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Hanga ki tātua ngā kauhau, I roto I tēnā mātou, whakutungu te wāre tapu he awhi ne tūtu he mātou. Ake, amine. E te mea, tipiri mea, rangatira katoa, amihi nui, kia koutou. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. This is interesting. Mr. Mayor, would you mind filling in for me today?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Kia ora everyone, and a warm welcome to our Rangitāne o Manawatū committee meeting for Wednesday the 11th of September 2024. If I could just acknowledge you, Wiramu, and thank you for karakia. Councillors, and explain that the meeting now is being live streamed today on the Council's YouTube channel in terms of health and safety for members of the public. On the unlikely event of hearing an alarm, we will exit via the green signs, the fire exits. We will evacuate to the assembly area, which is the clock tower, Te Marae in the square. In terms of smoking and vaping, it is prohibited within the building. Again, unlikely event of defibrillator being required, that's downstairs in the entranceway at customer services. And any incidences, please, if you could report those to our committee administration. If I could just ask any of the officers if they're reporting, if perhaps for those online, if you could just give, in the first instance, give your name and title when presenting or speaking to a paper or answering a question. And online we have Danielle Harris, and we have Katie, Councillor, oh no, she's here. Yeah, right, okay. All right, so we're fine, good, thank you. And we will now go to number 2, it's around apologies, and we'll have a recommendation there that the committee receive apologies from Mr. Chris Whaipu. I'm happy to move. Could I have a seconder? Thank you to the Deputy Mayor. Are there any questions or matters arising from that? There being none, we will ask you to vote, please. Come up on your screens. Obviously green is for yes, red is for no, the yellow is abstain. Thank you. Okay, that is passed 6 votes for, none against, thank you. Number 3 is around the notification of any additional items. Just put your microphone on, Councillor. Oh.
Yeah, I just was saying there's members here in attendance, including online, that 6 didn't equal, so I was just querying the number.
Not everybody voted.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor, just in response to that, for the 2 of us, it never showed up. Oh, yes, mine didn't either.
Okay, there's enough questions to say we'll just rerun the vote.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 of us in attendance that are members.
And I was watching.
When it comes up.
Actually, there's 9 of us in attendance.
Okay, so if I could just explain, so for our partners, the green, the screen comes up, there's 3 buttons. Green is a yes, red is you push either green, red or yellow. The red is a no and the yellow is an abstention. I don't think everybody totally understood our voting system. Okay, Now we're ready to go again, so we've got the recommendation there that we receive the apologies. I'll ask you to vote again, please. And we've got 9 votes for and none against. Thank you. Right. Okay, moving on. Number 3 is around the notification of any additional items. I haven't received any. Also, declarations of interest. Again, I haven't received any, but I'll go to Councillor Isabella.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to note an interest in item 8, that report names a family member of mine meeting with Te Whiri Koko. We'll consider that report with an open mind. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well spotted in the small print. Okay, public comment. There is no public comment listed. There's nothing from the floor. Okay, we move on to confirmation of the minutes. And around the minutes of our previous meeting on the 10th of April 2024, Part 1 public be confirmed as a true and correct record. I'm happy to move those. Seconded by the Deputy Mayor, thank you. Are there any matters arising from those minutes? They're on page 7 of our papers. There being none, we will look to vote. Please, and it's on the screen again. And that has passed 9 votes for and none against. Thank you. Okay, we move through to our first report, and that's around Te Manawatū, Anzac Park Development Program and the governance of that. I'll invite our Parks and Reserves Manager, Kathy Todd, to the table. Thank you. Welcome, Kathy. Okay, we're just going to get you logged on. The battery went flat.
Thank you. Good afternoon, committee members. So the report that you have in front of you is an update not only on the Te Manawatū Civic Marae and Cultural Facility, but also Cliff Road. And the reason for that is that the 2 projects or 2 programs included within the LTP are so intrinsically linked together that it was considered that the best approach was to manage them as one program, but to report on the outcomes for those individually in the LTP. And in order to do that, we have established a program methodology, which is explained in the report, and that will consist of a project director who has been appointed, Steve Bramley, who has been working with the design working group and with council to date, and 4 project managers who will report to Steve so that we can keep an eye on the risks and the costs and the outcomes associated with each of those projects. And to date on that program, just as an update, we have developed a program Gantt chart which looks at all the milestones for each of those projects. We have done a reassessment with our quantity surveyor on the costs associated with that program to assure ourselves that we can still complete it within the budget provisions made within the LTP. The main matter of this report coming today is the request for the approval to form a program steering group. The program steering group is to provide governance and direction, so not on the delivery of the project itself, which will occur by the officers, but that overall, when things are, we need direction, and it might be in around design, it might be in around who we should apply for funding for and when. It may be on emerging risks, for example, perhaps related to things like external fundraising, to get that direction to enable the program to move swiftly. The difficulty with the program, if you don't have that governance level, is that we can get delays. while we're waiting for that direction. And a good example that occurred within council was the Cahoon park upgrade for the World Softball Champs, where we had a governance group that could provide that direction, but we had officers actually delivering with Softball New Zealand on the individual parts of that program. So we're looking for the similar construct, and contained within the report is a proposed terms of reference for that group, including how the membership would be made up. So quite happy to take any questions on the report.
Are there any questions? Councillor Naylor.
Thanks, Kathy. Just the membership on page 22 and 23 just has one elected member. And I'm just wondering what the thinking was in terms of, was the view that that would be enough, given that there's two nominations from Rangitāne or Manawatū, as well as the chair and deputy chair of the committee?
So really looking at the size of the steering group, and that we felt that 6 was a good number. The chair and the deputy chair, each representing council and Rangitāne. The reason we ended up with one elected member was that the proposal here is that the other council representative to make up the 3 is a member of the senior leadership team. Now, councillors may choose that it would be 2 elected members, but I think there is good value in having a member of the senior leadership team when it's a program and project of this scale.
Okay, thank you. And just in terms of the scope, sorry. So you talked about the program steering group providing direction. How much scope will the steering group have in terms of where is it made explicit what decisions would need to go to council as opposed to sitting with the steering group?
Yes, those are covered on page 23 under the delegations. The group holds no delegations and has no authority to make decisions or commitments on behalf of council.
So, and yeah, that's the bit I was just looking for, sorry about that. So given that is made explicit, how would the steering group provide direction then if it hasn't got any authority to make decisions?
So the group would, the steering group minutes and report will come to this committee. As the project sponsor for the project, I will also be reporting on the program, and through that making any recommendations to this committee to go through to council.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there any other comments from Councillor Fitzgerald?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Kathy. Just thinking about the Peace Program Steering Group bringing recommendations to this council committee meeting, which only meets 4 times a year. Are we looking to increase the number of meetings that this committee will sit to keep up with the program, or is there little risk that the delay between this committee's meetings will have a small effect on the program delivery?
In terms of the direction that might be within the scope of that committee, that could be an issue if this committee was looking at financial matters or project management matters. But every program and project within council is reported to council on a monthly basis. So if it was, for example, something to do with fundraising or needed a decision of council related to a financial matter, then we have the normal meeting cycle of the council committees that could go to.
Great. All right. That's no more questions from members. So thank you, Kathy. Thank you for the report and to get things moving. So we have 2 recommendations there, colleagues, that council establish a program steering group to provide oversight around Te Matupatoa and the Cliff Road Development Program. That council agree the terms of reference of the Te Matupatoa steering group attachment 2. I'm quite happy to move those. Could I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Dennison. Colleagues, this has worked well on some of the other projects, and I know that Kathy mentioned the the Calhoun Park, which actually had to get developed when I look back on it, I don't know how we did it, because it was about a year that we had to do that, and as well as holding a world event. This has a slightly longer time frame, but it will still be quite a tight fit to get everything, money raised, tenders drawn, and then obviously the build programs and the project management of all of that, along with all the approvals. So it does work well. It's worked very well with Arena as well, which was a difficult project, and it just I suppose it gives a conduit to make sure that things keep moving in different projects. If I could just talk about just briefly the fundraising side of that, and that is quite critical to this, is making sure that we do have that external funding. So I do know that staff have been starting to talk to community and energy trusts, to the Kānoa Regional Economic Development Agency, with the government, and the RIF funding, which is the Regional Infrastructure Fund, and there is an opportunity to look at a small grant towards the project. It is unique, and it's the first in New Zealand to have a joint venture between iwi and council together at the table, building this project. There's various ministry funds around cultural, marae development as well, and then obviously the formalising of Rangitāne's financial commitment towards the project as well. So it's looking good. Still quite a lot to do behind the scenes before the money's even all raised. So having the steering group set up, ready to go from as soon as possible in October, is pretty imperative that we do that work. So I hope you can support this, and there being no other speakers, we will vote, please. And that is passed. 9 votes for and none against. Thank you. Okay, we'll move through now to Footy Koko, our council engagement, and ask Todd to come up and perhaps speak to that. Kia ora, Todd. Thank you. Page 25 counts, colleagues, of your papers.
Tēnā tātou. Tēnā tātou I whakaruika mai, I runga I te kaupapa I whakatairanga ke tēnei komiti. Tuatahi kia koe Wiremu, nau rā I whakawairua I tō tātou hui. Tēnā rā koe me ngā kupu whakatau. Me hoki ki tō iwi ake o Rangitāne o Manawatū I whakahaumarutia nei a tātou. A tātou e tū nei, noho nei, ki runga I te mrau hine, I takoto maira. Tēnā koe, tēnā koutou katoa. E mihi anō hoki ki te kaunihera, kia koe Grant. Nā mihi korua tahi ko te mea tuarua nei, a Debbie. Koutou rā ko nā kaunihera, tēnā koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou. Kare kore he tika ki te mihi ki te kaupapa, tētahi ona kaupapa o te wā, arā ko Māhuru Māori, me te tū nei o te wiki o te reo Māori. I tēnei wā, kei te porowhita mai nā haki I whakanuitia nei I te reo Māori I te marau hine. Nō reira, tērā tō mātou whāngahia I te kaupapa, nā koutou te iwi kāinga I kawe, I whakarewa ake. Nō reira huri nō tō tātou. Whare tēnā tātou katoa. Todd Taiepa, in the role of Pautoko Apore, Principal Māori Advisor for the Palmerston North City Council, and just was adding to my acknowledgement just in this moment. We're sitting with Māhuru Māori, the month that celebrates the significance of Te Reo, and on Saturday there'll be a ceremony to acknowledge Te Wiki o Te Reo. But at the moment, the Te Marau Hine is wrapped in flags expressing an acknowledgement of that moment. So I just wanted to mihi to that kaupapa. Ko ia nei a tātou. But in terms of the report, So one of our regular updates has been 5 meetings of Te Whiri Koko since the previous Rangitāne o Manawatū committee meeting. I will pretty much leave the report as read and take any questions in relationship to it, but I would just comment, as has been acknowledged within the Te Whiri Koko forums, that at this particular time, with a relatively new government and quite a few of the matters that Rangitāne and Council are working through relate to matters which are sort of uncertain and are changing. I just want to say, and I'm sure I can say on behalf of staff, just an appreciation for the relationship and the level of trust, and just the acknowledgement that there's a number of matters which are uncertain in terms of some of the things we're working on together. And I just think the ability to speak plainly and clearly at the level of intent and understanding is very much appreciated by staff, and the members in the chamber have been a big contribution to that. So as you'll see, there's quite a few matters kind of listed, but our ability to have a strong working relationship is very much built on the partnership, which is held by our leadership. So e mihi ana kia koutou, but I'll really pass back to the council in terms of if there are any questions. Tēnā koutou katoa.
Kia ora, thanks Todd. Councillor Naylor.
Yeah, thanks, Todd, and thank you for a very thorough update. Just interested in the item on page 26, 2.8, in terms of exploring the options for natural burials in the city. It reminded me of the piece of work that Council had sought to progress a few years back in relation to whenua planting, and at that time it was put on hold, awaiting sort of some initiative from iwi. I'm just interested to know if that work has come up at all in the context of the natural burials discussion, or whether that piece of work could be of interest to Rangitāne going forward, and if so, what steps might be able to be taken to perhaps pick it up again?
Kia ora, Councillor. I will pass on to you, Kathy, from our Parks and Reserves team, I think, to give a better context perhaps as to this kaupapa. So, yep.
I wasn't present at Ashu's domain at the discussions, but no, the matter did not come up during the discussion on natural burial. In terms of your second question, whether that may be of interest to Rangitāne, that's not a question I can answer.
Is that something that officers could raise in the Te Whiri Koko context?
Certainly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
Councillor Dennison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just in regards to the quite extensive list of additional updates in 3.1, on page 28, 5 from the bottom, Housing Insecurity Response Plan Update. Can I understand what that covered and how that might get circulated to the wider membership of Council?
One of our SLT members. This is to do with the funding that's been approved by elected members. And I know we are, slightly out of my direct field, we are seeking a provider to manage that space. Is that in? Okay. Looking to one of you. Certainly I have that information. It's just not in my frontal lobe at the moment. Oh yes, got a response from.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. Kerry Lee, kia ora.
Kia ora koutou, Kerry Lee, General Manager, Development and Regulatory. Currently, the officers in the community and development space working on a procurement process for the 3 streams of work under the Housing and Security Fund. They've been asked to provide regular updates through the elected members' weekly update, just to keep elected members abreast of progress as they go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Okay. No other comments from members? No? Okay. Kia ora. Thanks, Todd. Appreciate your input there. So we've got a recommendation to the committee that we received titled Te Whiri Koko Council Engagement with Rangitāne on Manawatū, presented to the Rangitāne on Manawatū Committee on the 11th of September 2024. I'm happy to move that, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Again, thanks to the officers, and although Todd leads that, there is many in behind the scenes that do the mahi. So updates there on various council programs. I think it shows you how wide and the depth and breadth of that, what happens there. Waters, transport, reserves, development, both private and our own. And, you know, we've had quite a little bit go on in recent times with Tamakuku Terrace, Papiauia Place, our animal shelter, housing, events, and I've noticed a big improvement in staff contractor inductions as well. So building up a good understanding of relationships and rapport and culture. So thanks to the team again. Oh, any other comments? Councillor Naylor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I reiterate those comments. It's certainly, reading through here, it's obviously a very, Te Whiri Koko got a lot of work that it's looking at. But yeah, I was really interested in, just following up my questions, the natural burials in the city, that will be interesting to see what comes back, because that has seemed to have been a bit of a closed door when that's been looked at in the past. So if there is something that can be accommodated there, I think that'll be keep some people in our community happy to have that option available. And likewise, the whenua planting has been an issue that we didn't get off the ground a few years ago. But certainly members of our community have raised this with me again recently, identifying that there isn't currently a solution for women to bury their placenta that is satisfactory to many women, particularly those who might be renting. It sounds like some people take matters into their own hands and just find a place in the Victoria Esplanade or other places in our reserves across the city to do so in an unofficial way. But I think it would be preferable, particularly if Rangitāne do support some progress in this area, for there to be a more appropriate way in which women can choose to return their whenua to the whenua.
The Deputy Mayor.
Tēnā koe, Your Worship. In response to Councillor Naylor's kōrero about whenua, you know, I think that's a wonderful idea, especially for those people who don't have the security of having their own special place in which to put the whenua. Because when whenua is buried, it should be undisturbed, and I think that that is something for Te Whiri Koko to discuss, and I've no doubt that our senior Māori advisor and team will be able to take that to them, and it'll be really good to have them discuss that, but I'm signalling support for that. Kia ora. Thank you.
And Mr. Tiawe would like to speak.
I've had a few people see me about this, and some time ago it's come up before. The only thing I know from a Māori point of view is that one of the questions were posed to me, they were thinking of planting a fruit tree on top of it. And then they said to me they're going to eat the fruit. Well, for a Māori, that's very tapu. I wouldn't be eating fruit of a tree, especially if Grant was under the ground there. But so for Māori, that's a tapu thing. I know our cemetery at home, we don't even take kai up there. We have water, but it's tapu to us. We don't even pick watercress off kuarawhuru or anything like that, because to us, that's eating our ancestors in a sense. So I know we're not for that, but definitely support.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was just wanting to say thank you, Pa Wiremu, for that. I was referring to the whenua of the afterbirth, and yes, I concur with you that we wouldn't be expecting fruit trees to be on, but you can have native trees and other natives that can be planted on top of whenua, but I think that idea is coming from a good place and space, and I suppose also as Manawatū, recognising the beauty and the strength and the needs of mothers in terms of looking after the whenua of their babies as well is something that I think is really important. So thank you for raising that, Councillor Naylor, and I look forward to Te Whiri Kōkō's response to that. Thank you.
All right, we have the recommendation there that we receive the memo, so I'll ask you to vote, please. And that has passed 9 votes for and none against. Thank you. All right, moving through to number 9, which is around the committee's work schedule. And I'll ask GM of Strategy and Planning, David Murphy, if he wants to speak to that, please.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No specific comment in relation to the work schedule this afternoon.
Okay. All right, so we have the recommendation that a committee that Rangitāne or Manawatū committee receive its work schedule for September 2024. I'm happy to move that, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. There are no commentary or matters arising from that. We will vote, please. And that has passed 9 votes for and none against. Thank you. All right, before I go to Wiremu around closing our meeting of karakia, if there are any elected members that want to put their names forward towards that steering group around Te Matapatoa, if they can get, we'll put out an expression of interest later today or tomorrow, so we'll look to move on that relatively quickly. All right, I'll now ask Wiremu if you could close our meeting, please.
It's good when you get the last say. You don't stick to the book. Kia kaupapa au te araha koutou e whakaoti. You've heard me quite often state Te Pēti's statement like that. And with this Te Matua Pautua, what we're doing with the council and Rangitāne is a step in the right direction. It's taken 100 odd years to do something with Pacific in the city and walking together, and I think it says a lot to the council, the mayor, the councillors, and yourselves. You've done, in my viewpoint, a very brave thing. And I know Rangitāne is excited because it's something we can do together, and it's something good and positive. Instead of hearing bad news all the time, this is good news. And it's shining, especially when we've got the Maori Awards coming up. Well, we won't start on that. But I'll end with a karakia now. Kia ora. Kia tau, kia tātou katoa. Te ata whae tō tātou ariki e karaiti, me te araha me te atua, me te whiwhinata e tanga ki te waru tapu, ake, amine.
I did think there was a go the All Blacks at the end of that, but obviously